Back at it again. Is it okay? Okay, it's showing up. The podcast is showing up. We've
Drones
got
After Dark. Here we go.
Drones After Dark. We're about to go live.
What season are we in?
Our timeline. Season 1. Title.
Season
Drones
1.
After Dark. Season 1.
I wonder what friends we have that would actually answer the phone now. That would actually come join us and hang out.
Oh yeah, we should probably look at like a chat or something. I think I can probably check the chat on another monitor.
Oh,
Maybe.
look at that. We're live. There it goes.
We're live.
I liked it on the first person.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah. The pilot episode. You should actually specify the pilot episode of what?
Drones After Dark, obviously.
Drones After Dark. Gonna have
Drones
to get a
After
fancy
Dark.
logo made for that.
We actually do have a logo for it. Okay, that's the comments, polls, the pilot episode. Oh, let's call it Drones After Dark Revamped.
Drones After Dark Revamped 2.0. Upgraded. Better than ever.
Okay, I think we can probably even share this. Fantastic.
Fan-freaking-tastic. So what do you want to talk about? What do we got on the
It's
agenda?
just going to be like the initial pilot episode where we talk about what made us start Drones After Dark, give us our background as well.
So what made us start Drones After Dark? What made you start Drones After Dark?
Let me share this. Okay, I can share this to the group. Cool.
So what group?
We're live. The commercial UAS group.
Awesome. So let's get back to what made you start Drones After Dark. Obviously, you are the one and only Bobby O Yang. Like, super infamous, boy genius, Bobby O Yang.
Yeah, all right. No, I'm
All right,
not.
So in all seriousness,
I'm not that
why did you
smart,
start
man.
Drones After Dark? What is the point of this podcast?
Okay, so it's shared. Now I can focus on the pod. So basically, this started in 2020, I believe. Early 2020s, we were at a conference called PVCC. It's in Crozet, Virginia, at the King's Family Vineyard, where a capped 300-person conference, mostly public safety, go, and they do all sorts of drone stuff there. So super small conference, capped at a limit so that it doesn't get too big. And
2017, that was actually my very first public safety drone conference. PVCC.
Yeah.
Darren Goodbar. Shout out to Darren.
Shout out to Darren. Tag him. Give him a like. Yeah,
Right.
so that was my first conference in the drone space altogether. Never been to a conference before. Never met all these fantastic people that I've met over the years. And after the first night, after the second night, we were sitting around boozing. That's where I met John McBride and a bunch of other people for the first time.
That's also where I met John McBride in 2017. PVCC.
Wow.
Shout out to Darren Goodbar.
PVCC. Shout out to Darren Goodbar. Drink.
We're going to have to set rules for that.
That's a rule. Every single time we give Darren a shout out, we got to drink. So
Hey,
at the
2020. 2020. Or 20, whenever your first PVCC conference was.
yeah, so we were there just boozing, having a good time, and it just became super casual where everyone was able to just drink, speak their mind, curse, and just get to know each other outside of a business environment. And I loved it, just getting to know everybody. And over the years, I've met a lot of people, and a lot of these relationships that we've built were just from a night of axe throwing and booze and some green tea shots and having a good time together. Not really talking about necessarily work or like trying to close a deal per se, but more just getting to know people and just learning about other people's experience in the drone industry and everything. So we spun up Drones After Dark last year, about a year ago, and we did, I think, 5 episodes with Paul Rossi. And then I got super busy, had to fundraise, and I put the podcast on pause for like a year. But it did pretty well. I mean, the first episode got over 1,000 views, and we just put it on our newsletter. That was about it. So a bunch of people from our newsletter watched it.
So let's talk about Darren Goodbar for a second.
Oh, man. Shout out to Darren Goodbar.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
So then I had a few guests on, and, because I had to fundraise, I just didn't have any time to do podcasts for fun. So now I've got some extra time. This is something that I'm passionate about. It's not something that we're ever going to run ads on. We're not going to get paid for doing this. We're just doing this because we're passionate about talking about drones and trying to, relive that experience of the conferences that we've gone to over the past in a virtual podcast environment. And of course, there's 2 rules to Drones After Dark. Do you want to talk about the rules, Jeffrey?
I don't know them. You made them.
Oh, man.
I'm just here for the party.
Oh, man. Well, they're classic. It's rule number 1 is you have to curse. Yep. This is not a professional podcast by any means, so you have to curse. It has to be unprofessional. And rule number 2 is you got to get drunk with us.
Nabbit. And you have to what? What was number 2?
You got to get drunk with us.
Oh, well, I got the Basil Hayden, so there's that.
Nice.
But so let's talk about conferences for a second. So we talked about, obviously, this is not. We know the infamous Skybrowse Bobby O Yang, but this is not a Skybrowse thing. This is not at all that. This is something you enjoy doing. I enjoy doing. Something that we're both really passionate about, talking about drones, talking about stuff that's going on in not only my side of stuff, like the public safety UAS space, but as a whole, what's going on in the drone industry. So between this and conferences, if you have not, I know you have, but for anybody else that's actually listening or going to listen, if you haven't been to a drone conference, you will learn more after the conference sitting down with people that you've never met before than you will ever learn sitting in a classroom or any of that kind of stuff. So let's talk about PVCC for a second. Very first drone conference that I went to, middle of nowhere, Virginia. Met some amazing people. Met John McBride, met Romeo Dersher, met a whole bunch of big names in the drone industry. So the conference was great. Learned a lot on sitting through classes and talking to people and vendors and so on and so forth. But the second night we were there, John McBride, I'm a fanboy. John McBride. No, but in all seriousness, John said, "Hey, man, come up. We're going to be hanging out. Come up, have a beer, and hang out." So I went up, and it was York County Fire and Life Safety. They were hanging out, talking about drones, Dude, when I walked in that room, they had an M600 sitting on the table. And at the time, 2017, an M600 was a big freaking deal. But they had an M600 on the table, just tore apart in pieces, sitting there, just talking about. We talked about everything from flight controllers to that, to the massive M600 that's sitting in the middle of the room, in the hotel room, all the way down to thermal. I think we had like a 2.5 hour discussion about thermal. I learned more about thermal in a couple beers in the hotel room, hanging out with a bunch of guys, than I have learned in my entire career of thermal. And mind you, my background is fire service. We use thermal for everything. Every house we went into, we brought a thermal camera. I learned more in those couple of hours sitting in a hotel room with the guys from the conference than I have, in the 15 years I've been using thermal. So, yeah, if you haven't been to a conference, gotta go.
Absolutely. It's what happens after the conference, not during the exhibition hall, not during the networking sessions where they, give you a few beers, and definitely not during the classes. The classes are beneficial, but if you really want to do a deep dive into a topic, you really have to just do Drones After Dark.
Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, you need to talk to those people that are doing it. It's one thing to sit in a room and listen to a presentation that's been put together, but it's another thing to get behind closed doors, pound a bunch of drinks, and actually talk for real about what is actually going on in the drone space. And there's a lot going on. There's a lot that people don't know that's going on. Hopefully we can talk about some of that too without getting in too much trouble.
No, it should be all right. But basically, we do this, outside of conferences as well, just hanging out. Shout out to Adrian Doko. I'll just hang out with him because he lives very close to me, and we'll hang out.
AVUSI. I think we should drink every time we say either Adrian's name or AVUSI as well.
Okay.
Just saying.
All right. So, shout out to Adrian Doko.
But he's one that's making an impact in the drone industry. Like, for one, he's probably the most positive person I've ever met. And for two, he knows absolutely everyone. He's friendly with even people that I can't stand. And a lot of people can't stand me too, but that's aside from the point. He knows and gets along with everyone. It's actually kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Oh,
and he's
shout
very
out to
well dressed.
Pilot Institute. We need something to flash across the screen that says Pilot Institute across the screen every time we say it, just like Doa. But
man.
Someone in chat said this doesn't spell trouble at all. No, not at all. Not in the slightest. We're absolutely not going to get into any controversial drone stuff. And there's not controversial drone stuff out there. Skydeal.
None whatsoever.
So
everyone gets along with everyone. That's all it is.
Oh, it's one big happy family.
Mm-hmm.
I see Aaron too. So talking about Aaron, I know you mentioned, I don't want to hurt anybody that has conferences out there, but the fact of the matter is that conference, the LIDA conference in Bend, that's a good freaking conference. Aaron and Genpack and all those guys, hanging out with them, good people. Had a blast this year at the Genpack, not the Genpack, the LIDA conference that Genpack was one of the sponsors at, but super good people.
Yeah. Great bunch of folks. Who else from LIDA do we give shout outs to?
Oh, John Beal, president of LIDA. For those that don't know LIDA, LIDA is the Law Enforcement Drone Association, and they do a lot of good, not just law enforcement, but one, educating law enforcement about other people using drones, for one. But for two, hands-on training and that kind of stuff for police officers and all the other, public safety agencies that are actually using drones. LIDA does a lot of really good stuff, hands-on stuff, helping teach and train and educate. But yeah, John Beal's a big one. Doug, there's a whole slew of them. Really good people.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic folks. What you drinking?
For the basil. A little bit of Basil Hayden, 10-year.
What is Basil Hayden? Guy. I've never heard of that.
Really? Oh, Bobby.
Is that what Laura said? Don't get bourbon, get something else?
No, she wanted bourbon. She just didn't want Woodford. Woodford is my go-to. I love my Woodford. I like the double oak. But just the standard Woodford is good enough. That's my daily driver. But she wanted something different. Delicious. Absolutely delicious.
Does it taste like basil?
No. It's just in the name.
No.
So, like I said, don't want to hurt feelings, but what was your favorite all-time conference? Best conference, most... I guess there's different levels of conferences. What conference did you have the most fun at?
I'll answer that, and then I'll ask you a question. You can think about it right now. Prepare your answer. Which conference did you have the least fun at? So
it's more fun when I don't prepare, but I can give you that answer right off the bat.
All right, cool. Well, so the most fun conference was ComUAV, and that was last year, not this year's ComUAV. Last year's ComUAV because everybody was so sick and tired of the pandemic. Nobody was going to conferences. Nobody met up, and it was it was just good seeing everybody all over again.
Refreshing, yeah.
Yeah, loved it. Even though I was in that shitty fucking hotel, the Mirage, for God knows how long, 3 days straight. I was just in that hotel. We did some Top Golf. That was pretty fun. Shout out to Ken Dono, Original Dobo. Shout out to Pilot Institute, the Auto Robotic guys.
Dobo.
For hosting that. But man, that was the conference itself was a lot of fun, but I was indoors in a smoky hotel that's getting demolished in 2 months. It was pretty gnarly.
Shameless plug. Look at the coaster I made. Isn't that cool?
Dang.
It's my coaster for my mental health.
Looks good.
Yeah.
So least favorite conference for you first.
So touching on that ComUAV, even this year was a blast. I mean, it's a good show. ComUAV is a very good show to go to. But yeah, I could absolutely see everyone after being locked up for God knows how long for COVID stuff. Yeah, I can imagine it being that much better because COVID sucked, and then you get to go out and but yeah. So worst, easy, FBI NAA, hands down.
Oh man,
that was the worst conference I've ever been to. I hate to say that, but it wasn't. Listen,
where's that picture?
Which one?
We gotta find that picture of the booth across from us.
Oh, I've got video of you being tased. Can we play that?
Oh, there
How many
it is.
people
I
in
got
here
the video
do you
as well.
think would like to see Bobby Oyang being tased? Because that happened at
God.
FBI NAA. That actually almost moved that conference out of the worst conference I've ever been to. But no, in all seriousness, FBI NAA, if I was part of the FBI or part of that, so FBI NAA is a big organization that is, it's almost like the ultimate frat of FBI agents. But FBI NAA was exactly that. It was all of the people from that ultimate frat that were retired FBI or, it was all people hanging out that they're brothers in the past. Like, it was definitely not something they were like, oh yeah, you guys come out, have a beer. No, it wasn't like that at all. So it's not that it was a bad conference. It just wasn't our scene at all. Not by any way, shape, or form.
We had some fun though after the conference.
Yeah,
after every single conference day.
It was freaking amazing.
We also went to a pretty cool steakhouse and some other stuff. But
oh yeah, Marble Room.
Yum.
Oh, that was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Shout out to Darren Goodbar.
Darren
Goodbar.
I'm gonna get a phone call in the morning. What the fuck were you talking? I'm gonna get it. I know I am.
Oh man. Man, oh man. So FBNAA, I found the picture.
Oh, here we go.
Let's show the picture and then we'll transition into Darren Goodbar. So we've got a booth, a 10x10 booth, not really big, and right across from us is this right here. In terms of laser scanning, just straight up penis, balls, vagina, dude, everything. Just look.
Now the commercial users group is going to delete this, but okay.
Oh yeah. Whoops. Oops.
Yeah, no, he's legitimately though. Every time we looked across the aisle from our booth, we saw big old cock. That was it. We saw a full 3D naked scan of a guy just hang down, strapped to the left side of his leg. He had done something with something, crammed some stuff somewhere, and it showed on 3D. Like, the technology was cool, but we actually had to look at basically a naked guy the entire time we were there. FBI worse show.
Worse. Even worse. They had a slideshow on a TV of rotating naked X-ray people just going through it and like catch your eye, you'd be like, oh look, an animation, and then just another naked person.
They did.
Man.
You know what? So a lot of good did come from that. So let's talk about the good that happened at FBINA. So one, Tyler. I love that kid. Paladin Drones, the hat. Absolutely love the guys at Paladin. So little backstory, walking around FBINA, very, very little drone stuff. We had the Dragonfish there, so people were like, oh, cool, big drone. They weren't looking to buy anything. They just were, it was cool, big drone. But anyways, so I was walking around, saw the Paladin booth. I know Divvy, I know a bunch of the guys there, and, saw Tyler. Never really sat down and talked to Tyler. So I walked over and started shooting the shit, and Tyler's like, hey, what are you guys doing tonight? I was like, oh, we're probably going out. Hi, what's up? He's like, well, I'm kind of here alone. For one, I got my phone out and called Divvy. Like, Divvy, what are you doing sending this poor kid to the middle of nowhere to this conference all by his lonesome? But anyways, long story short, Skybrows took Paladin under their wing at FBINAA. And I'm telling you, I made a friend for life. Tyler is probably one of the smartest kids that I've ever met in my entire life. Passionate and changing the world as far as drone stuff goes. Like DFR, mind-blowing. We have a hard time, especially everybody in the commercial user group knows, I'm sure. Everybody in any Facebook group that I'm in knows. beyond visual line of sight, to do it legally, that's the holy grail. We do it a lot with like Storm Point and the nonprofit, the emergency response side. We can call SOSD and the emergency response side and get waivers to do that stuff. Like 30 minutes, I got a TFR up and I can fly drone speed VLOS. But these guys are doing it. Hell, Elizabeth, they're like controlled airspace beyond visual line of sight. Oh yeah, sure, go ahead. They file the waivers, they get the waivers, and law enforcement can literally push a button, launch a drone. The drone goes where it's supposed to go. Game changing, absolutely game changing. But back to FBI and AA. That's where I got to hang out with Tyler. He ruined me with some green tea shots. Life has changed forever. Green tea has literally influenced every conference that I've been at since then. But I'm telling you, Divvy, you did right hiring Tyler. He is probably one of my favorite people that I've ever met in the drone space. Good people for sure.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Yeah, green tea shots. How did we make green tea shots a thing? Because I remember just ordering a bunch of green tea shots, and people were just curious about it. And then every single party we've hosted, we just have a bunch of them laying around.
Look at this. John Beal did comment. So he wanted to know what the best conference that I've ever been to was, because you said your best conference. But John, what you missed, apparently joining in late, was that I already talked about Bend in Oregon. And we actually mentioned John Beal doing amazing things. The president of LIDA. LIDA's doing amazing things. We already talked about you, John. Love you.
Shout out to John Beal.
Back to the green tea. So, shout out to John. That's over and done with. Green tea. How did that come about?
I think it was at a conference like a month or two ago when I was just like, oh yeah, I remember having these in college at the bars and stuff, or at like, some parties.
Tyler,
and then
you
I was like,
ruined me.
let's just have some.
Look, I'm a bourbon drinker. I'll drink a beer once in a great while. I'll drink wine when my wife wants wine. She's like, oh, you get a bottle? Yeah, I'll have a glass of wine. But I'm a bourbon drinker. So the fact of the matter is, typically, people are not willing to do shots with you at the bar. Right. It's just one of those things. It's like, no, we're here as a professional company. We can't be doing shots at the bar. Well, I walk up to the bar. I'm like, Tyler, you're what, 24, 25? You want to do a shot? He's like, yeah, let's do some green tea.
22.
Oh, 22. Honestly, he acts like he's like 35. With an exception of the green tea. He ruined me forever. But, yeah, so that started the whole, what did we have at the DJI Airworks? Our first round was, 40 shots of green tea?
40 shots. That was courtesy of Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler and Divvy.
He ordered that.
Yeah, Tyler ordered it. Pretty sure Divvy paid for it.
Shout out to Divvy.
In all seriousness, 40 green tea shots. That's how we started the, it was a Skybrowse Paladin. It was when we announced our partnership. I don't want to make this a Skybrowse thing, but that partnership is mind-blowing. Like, drone takes off, goes somewhere, flies by itself, makes a 3D model in minutes. This tech is absolutely freaking insane.
You haven't cursed yet, Jeffrey.
I have. I actually dropped one F-bomb. I'm trying to be careful.
Yeah.
You need to pay attention, homie. So anyways, yeah, so Paladin, not only the Paladin Skybrowse thing, but the Tyler Jeff Clementi thing was a match made in heaven. That kid, I'm telling you, I'm a fan. Fan for life.
Yeah, that was awesome. He's actually in the chat right now.
Oh, is he?
He's unfortunately boarding a plane. Otherwise, we'd get him onto this podcast right now.
His only comment, so good. It was so good, though.
It was a great time.
But,
yeah.
Yep.
Airworks was fun. That's good.
Airworks was a lot of fun. I really was not looking... I was looking forward to Airworks. I was not looking forward to going to Vegas again.
Yep. I agree with you.
Back to back. 2 weeks apart. Big conference. Another big conference. Vegas.
So much
I don't
Vegas,
hate the
man.
Mirage like you do, but those 2 big drone conferences back to back. Not that I was stressing going to Airworks, but it was one of those Vegas again. It was a good show, though. Hell, it's DJI. They make up at least 80% of the market still. despite what other drone companies are trying to do to force them out of the market, like politically or whatever else, they still make up that chunk of the market. And they do put on a really good conference. Some of the tech that was there was pretty crazy. If you haven't seen, they make a speaker for the bottom of the M300. So anyone that knows the size of an M300, I've got a 200 back there, but the 300, they make a speaker that's this big that literally fits from leg to leg. They had that there. CZI makes it. But this speaker, so Aaron, in chat, Genpack, they had this speaker and they demoed it at LIDA. And I was like, I think for public address, those little teeny tiny speakers are probably just fine. And they are, 100%. I'm like, so what is the market for this big mammoth, like, blow your mind speaker? And they're like, honestly, we don't even know. But to make a long story short, we got talking about things that it could be used for. Here's what I'm thinking. So you get 3 M300s in the middle of the desert for Burning Man. You can literally start a rave anywhere. Anywhere.
Portable rave? Oh, man.
So Aaron had this thing.
Ooh.
It was literally 3/4 of a mile away from us. Now it's a 300, so it's big. We were still line of sight for those Karens out there. But anyways, we're talking 3/4 of a mile away, and you could still hear Danger Zone playing. Because what else are you going to play, right? Playing Danger Zone from the speaker.
3 miles?
So, no, not 3 miles. 3/4 of a mile.
Oh, okay.
So, but still, 3/4 of a mile away, and we could still hear Danger Zone playing like it was like right next to us.
Insane.
So picture 4 of them. You could literally throw a rave anywhere.
Put it
anywhere
in one of those DJI docks as well.
I expect someone to monetize. I expect someone to monetize that. Throwing parties just randomly. Like the whole dance skit thing was a big deal, like YouTube out of nowhere. I expect people to be launching M300s with those giant freaking speakers in the middle of nowhere and just people start raving.
Raves as a service. Just instant raves. Charge a subscription fee. You can use it X amount of times.
Remember me.
Freemium, bottoms up SaaS model. Your first rave is free every single month. And then afterwards, if you want to do 5 raves a month, you got to pay $20. $20 a party attendee.
Tyler wants to know how to send a picture in Facebook chat. Tyler, listen, you're brilliant, brother. If you don't know how to send a picture in Facebook, I'm starting to doubt some of the things I said about you.
Man.
Just kidding. I still love you. I'm telling you, match made in heaven. Still love that kid. But, put it on a tether and you've got a forever MP. Oh, it's called the MP140. If you haven't seen it, Google it. There's got to be something out there. An MP140 speaker. So now, 4 tethers, you get your little generator and blah, 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 but raves in the middle of nowhere. And we're talking stupid sound systems on the bottom of a drone.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
If anyone monetizes off that and makes billions of dollars, please just remember you heard it here first.
What about lasers on drones?
So, funny you should mention that. So, DJI, their Z15 Spotlight, the original Spotlight that they had made actually had a green laser in the middle of it. And they took it out.
Was it a powerful laser? As in, like, you could see the laser beam itself?
God, yes. Yep. So, Garrett Burrell, if you haven't looked him up, he's big in public safety, big in drones. I don't want to make his head any bigger than it is because he's already uber famous in the public safety side. But he had a video at a structure fire. They had an M210 up in the air, this DJI Spotlight that apparently DJI didn't decide to make with the laser. But they were using it and pointing out hot spots with the laser at the fire. Like, you should probably put water here. Or you should probably put water in there. Like, literally a big old green laser beam. It looked like, something from some sci-fi movie. But they did. They had a laser on a gimbal in the middle of a spotlight that they could point at stuff. And, well, the official product that they released, they removed the laser from it.
Dang. That sucks. Do you know why?
I don't. If I had to guess, it's probably something to do with militarization. That's probably not even a word, but you know what I'm talking about. They don't want that negative, people have lasers on drones. It could have been that. It could have been an FAA thing. It could have been, let's ask Greg. I wish Greg was here to answer. Greg Ravidu knows all the answers. Like, I call him whenever I need to know anything drone related. Pilot Institute, we need to flash that across the screen. But no, I call him all the time.
Shout out to him.
I'm willing to bet Greg would know if you're allowed to put a laser on a drone. Like, is there a legal thing there? Are you allowed to?
Not sure, but who knows? We might have a surprise guest.
I have stumped him. He said, I actually don't know that one. He's known... Listen, I have called him with some of the stupidest off-the-wall FAA questions. And he's always like, oh, yeah, you didn't know that? Stumped him. I'm pretty proud right now. I'm putting it on the calendar. So, surprise guest, who wants to join us?
I don't know. It's our pilot episode.
Pilot episode? It couldn't be Pilot Institute, could it?
Who knows? It might be.
He said there's no regulation against it, but I don't know why DJI stopped it. I don't know either. It's sad and unfortunate because we need lasers on drones. Don't know for what. More lasers on drones. More lasers on... But the laser light show that... What was it called? What speaker is that? I don't know. It's somewhere in the comments. But lasers on drones, big speakers on drones, raves in the middle of nowhere. You heard it here first.
Could be huge. Could be massive.
Hey, can we start up Skyrave? SKYERAVE? I think we might be onto something. Skyrave.
Oh, man. Do it in the desert? There's no FA in the desert, right?
No, I mean, Skyrave doesn't have to hold the party or host the party. They could bring the party. Like, let's go to Burning Man and hold a Skyrave.
Yeah. Like, this just brings drone light shows to the next level. So not only can we have the light show, but we also have lasers and loudspeakers blasting EDM.
Let's talk about drone light shows. I know you saw it, and I know I saw it. I can't find it anywhere. And if somebody that watches this knows where you can find it, so the church, multi-century old church, like rooms. There's probably 40% of the church left, maybe even less, just a couple walls standing. Someone did a drone light show, and they reconstructed the rest of the church with drones. Like, rubble. Drone, made all the steeples, made all the... That's crazy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I remember waking up, just still in bed, scrolling LinkedIn, I'm like, oh, that's neat.
Flipping through LinkedIn.
Never saw it again. It was gone.
Same. Disappeared.
15 minutes of fame.
But it was an amazing 15 minutes, though.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's really, really cool stuff.
Yep.
I wonder how they even did that. It must have been artistic liberties.
Oh, I don't
these
even
things, know. They've been derelict for so long. How would people even know what they look like recently?
It was so good.
Figure out the dimensions or anything.
So good. I'm one of those guys that it's like, oh, wait, we could use that for a drone. People are like, why would you use a drone for that? But it's like 4 feet off the ground. You can reconstruct a building with a drone. Like, throw 1,000 drones out there. It'll look the same. Drones.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really, really cool technology. And who knows? If we could, if we make enough 3D models and in the future the stuff in the 3D models get destroyed, then we could do our own drone light show.
I did mention that, though. So can you imagine being there and they put the drone light show up? Like, cool, they remade this church. And then sky browsing that?
I mean, we did Skybrowse a really cool church.
Let's not hog it all. We could Pix 4D it for all those Pix 4Ders. We could drone deploy it for all the drone deployers out there. But Skybrowse would do it faster. But anyways, can you imagine Skybrowsing that? Like, seriously. You would have a full 3D reconstruction, like, with little light drones all over. You'd have the church. Like, how it was in its original state. But
plus all the drones.
Yeah.
Man. That'd be
wild.
Cool. And then if you took the measurement tool and took the measurements, like between the drones to get the outline of the church, then you have lines in between all the drones. You've got the entire outline as well. Man,
Yep.
that'd be cool. That'd be
It
really
would be cool. I'm such a nerd.
Yeah, drone light shows. Have you ever seen one in person? I've never seen one in person.
You know what? I haven't either. I've seen a lot of them on TV. I've seen a lot of them on the internet. I've never seen them in person.
Yeah,
I get the
crazy.
feeling I wouldn't be able to control myself. I would see it. I would probably faint or fall over or, I've been flying RC stuff for a long time, right? I've got 15 years flying collective pitch helicopters, airplanes, all the random stuff. Flying stuff still fascinates me. So even when we get 2 or 3 drones, if we have a missing person, it's like, oh, launch 3, launch 4, launch 5 drones. No big deal. But seeing 5 drones go up to me is like, who else is doing this? We've got 5 drones searching this area looking for somebody. And, no airspace issues. Deconfliction is all taken care of through communication. But we're talking thousands. Like, they'll launch 400 drones and be like, oh, yeah, no, they're fine. One person. Yeah, no, they're fine. They won't age. It's crazy.
Yeah, I hope in the future they could add more AI to it, because right now it's just all pre-programmed. All the drones know exactly where they're going to go at exactly which time. But what if certain drones, say, drifted or something like that, and the other drones adapted based off of it? Or you could switch it up to whatever you wanted to. So if the crowd was cheering, you could turn it into like a thumbs up or like a smiley face, something like that. Just it'd be super, live and in the moment.
Can they not do that? Is it not someone sitting behind a computer actually controlling it, saying, "Hey, go to this next"?
I thought it was just one button press to launch them all, and they fly in their waypoint missions, and that's that. They've got waypoint missions, and they've got color, and they've got like blinking frequency, and that's about it.
So
that's
fully pre-programmed.
I don't know. That's how I would design it.
If you do drone light shows, I'm curious. I want to know. Let me know how that works. Is it a whole, hour long, almost like the house painting, the projectors, like Hogwarts? I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. The Hogwarts show at night where they actually laser project the stuff on the, that's all pre-programmed. But are the drone light shows the same way?
I don't know.
Or can they actually say, hey, drone number 2,784, you're a foot off, move to the right?
Not sure. If there's any drone light show experts in the chat, let us know.
Definitely something I would like to know more about.
Yep. So, that video of me getting tased, I think you already showed that video already.
I showed it, yeah. So
you already showed it.
I would love to know the spikes in Dobo's podcast when that actually played.
Oh my god.
I'm telling you, people were cheering in the back, going, yeah, tase him again! I guarantee that was the highlight of that whole... I bet you that's the highlight of the last 10 shows he's done, was Bobby Oyen getting tased.
You getting tased? I wonder what part of that
Do you have it?
is.
I sent it to you.
From his podcast or the video itself? I have
you
the video.
The video itself.
Yeah, I got the video.
I think you should play it. Everybody wants to see you get tased.
Everyone wants to see me get
tasing,
tased? Damn.
so let's talk some controversy. So, speaking of the tasing, Axon. The whole taser on a drone. I mean, how do people actually feel about... Uh-oh. My better half just walked in. She stole the basil. Anyway, so tasers on a drone. Good? Bad? I could see it go either way. There's a lot of stuff that drones...
Are you muted? Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. Oh, you're back. Your recording stopped.
So...
Nice. We've got 2 Jeffs now.
Oh, but did the stream stop?
Stream should be good.
Okay. So,
But I just see two Jeffs now.
If we get to watch you get tased, it was worth kicking me out of the stream.
Oh, man. Man, oh, man.
Am I right? You couldn't get it to
I wonder
play?
where that video is. Oh, here it is. It's...
I watch it daily. I watch it about every 15 minutes of my life, so there's that. I can find it if you can.
All right. I'll show the video of me getting tased. I'll show two videos because I'm smart enough to do it twice. Oh my god.
In all seriousness, Bobby may have been slightly under the weather, and they tased him, and he's like, I feel brilliant. Like, I feel great. That was amazing. Like, that woke me. I'm good. Can you do it to the other arm? And we all looked at him like, what the fuck? What the actual... Are you serious? And sure enough, guy walks up and tases his other arm.
Hey, I mean, did you get tased that day?
Did I? Yeah, no one videoed it, though,
that day.
God.
That day, the same day that I got tased.
Yeah, it was right before you. Yeah.
It woke you up, right? Like,
oh, for sure.
You wake
and I
up?
ran to go get you because I wanted to see you go through that pain and suffering.
Oh, man. But we slept like 4 hours that night, and we were up late, boozing and smoking cigars. We were up late, man.
Typical conference.
Yep.
So
here's a freeze frame of it. Right here, of me getting absolutely thrashed.
Now I have to find it because I'm getting a little...
All right, I'll show the video. I'll show both videos as well. So here's the first video right here.
Oh, you're playing it on your phone. Here we go.
Oh, what? You doing a screen share?
Yeah. Absolutely. Hold on, I'll get it, Bobby. It's okay.
All right, hit it up. There's really no video of you at all?
No. Because, so I went over, no one else was really over there. I kind of went all by my lonesome.
And these guys, okay, so
then I was like,
a little
Bobby,
backstory behind these guys is...
Give the backstory.
We were out boozing with Tyler, and we ended up bar hopping until we found the only bar that was open at 2-ish a.m. at night. And it was like Tuesday, Wednesday, so we were just happy that something was still open. So we're there, we bust out the cigars, as usual, from the Skybrass humidor, and we start smoking some stogies. We're outside, and we have some drinks, and some people approach us. They're dressed normally and whatnot, and basically we learned that they were in the public safety space really, really quickly because they were in Cleveland for the same exact conference. So we invited them over, shared some stogies, shared some drinks, and had a great time. And they're like, oh, come check us out the next day.
Very good people.
Yep. Shout out to Corey, and oh man, I forgot the other guy's name. I got zapped by Corey, though.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to remember that name for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah.
So I have the video here, so here we go. So we'll share the screen here. Anyone that wants to see Bobby Oyang get ready to record this because it's...
Oh, man.
This was round 2, mind you. This was the second time you were tased.
Oh, man.
That's literally a taser built into a glove. You just walk up and grab somebody. Shocked.
And there it is.
Yet people are making a big deal about tasers on drones. I'm not saying it's a good thing to put a taser on a drone, but I am saying there's a time and a place.
There's a lot of logistical challenges to doing that, and also a lot of political challenges to doing that.
Absolutely.
I mean, weaponizing our schools?
I've heard a lot of uprising. I've heard a lot of, oh, don't weaponize my hobby. Well, the fact of the matter is, it's not just people's hobby anymore. This is something that people are using as a tool to do a job. So,
and that's how it started off, right?
Different means. I mean, it's a different tool to do a different job.
That's all it is. Yep. It would be tough, though. I mean, you need some crazy smart AI to find the suspect.
Yep.
Then zap them. It's tough.
But I think drones can make a difference in that space. I really do. Don't know if taser on drone is the solution. I mean, maybe some tear gas, maybe, I don't know. But I do think time and place. School shootings, send it in.
Sure. Maybe it's something that Skybrowse might release. in the near term.
Man, can you imagine tack browse along with those little things flying around?
Wow.
We could track their drones,
like drone
all the
swarm.
law enforcement, all in a 3D model.
Yeah,
crazy.
like a drone swarm of, or even like you've got like one patrolling drone looking at all the bad guys, and then the patrolling drone sends commands to the rest of the swarm to just tase or whatever it might be. Who knows? Even blast rave music. Just fly really close. They won't be able to hear. Just shoot lasers into their eyeballs. That's non-lethal.
Listen, it'll come to the day where you can fly something the size of an M300 through a school, through a hallway, through a house, and it'll fly itself. There's no doubt. But sending one in with one of those speakers, I know how loud that thing was. I can't fathom that inside of a building.
Yeah. That'd be no good. No good at all.
No, absolutely.
Your more technical difficulties for our pilot episode. Can you try to reset your microphone?
Is it not coming through?
It's staticky again. I don't know what caused it.
Oh, man. It's technology. That's what caused it. Let's see. Any better?
Nope.
Better or worse? Oh, man.
Just equally as bad. Shout out to Ken Dono, Original Dobo, on
where's he
YouTube for recommending these this mic setup. Oh man, now your video is just like
I know, my
out.
video is even flickering.
But your audio is good now. So your audio is good. Your video is good right now.
Hey, as long as everyone can hear me, we're good. We need to get Dobo on the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's another one. Conference. Where do you meet all these fantastic people? Conferences. If you haven't been to a conference, you need to go to one. You learn a lot. But he's another one that's doing just weird, off-the-wall, crazy stuff in the drone space. Everything from 3D printing stuff to podcasts to letting people know what's going on to making like crazy good videos of people's houses and stuff like that to help them sell it.
Yeah,
good stuff.
And he's got a pretty big YouTube following as well.
Right. I know. I follow him. I'm a fanboy of Dobo too.
We should get Billy Kyle in here. We should actually get him drunk.
There's another one too. Billy Kyle, another great freaking person. Met him at a conference, hung out. We had several nights of shenanigans. Good times.
Fun times. Vegas makes us do crazy things. I don't know. Every single time I go to Vegas, I just feel like I smoke too many cigars. I drink too much. And I need like some time to recover.
It doesn't matter if it was Vegas or the middle of Bend, Oregon. Let's be honest. Shenanigans everywhere. It's the shenanigans people don't talk about. But that's where, I'm telling you, that's where you will learn everything about drones. It's the shenanigans after the fact.
Yep. Absolutely. Technical difficulties. Once again, it's the pilot episode. Got to give us some leeway on this. Your microphone's doing the static thing again.
Man, I might have to spend some Skybucks to upgrade some of my recording stuff.
Ooh.
Skybucks.
Dangerous
tool.
Dangerous tool. You can buy a lot of stuff with Skybucks.
This microphone was bought with Skybucks. It was, yeah.
Oh wait, it's good. It's good again. I think when you like moved it up and down, it's all good. Just can you just like continuously do this during the podcast? Just I think that'll fix all the technical problems right there.
For a whole different podcast.
Drones After Dark. That's what it is.
So, talking about that kind of stuff, I actually know who it was. I won't bring their name up, but someone brought up.
Wait. We got to fix your mic first before moving. What? He disappeared. He's gone. All right. Let's shout out to Kyle Williams from Lita. Really cool dude. Awesome beard. Have a good night. Doko's in the chat as well.
Did you boot me? Was this too controversial?
No, you just crashed. You just disappeared.
Crashed and burned. But no, someone brought up the idea of actually flying tiny whoops and Cinewhoops at strip clubs. Like, brilliant idea. I think it would make a lot of money.
Oh, you're talking about the continuous drone FPV video that kind of just flies through the entire area? I think DJI released one of those.
Whether it be flying there and live streaming it to, there's 1,000 different sites. They could make a lot of money live streaming that. You're thinking long and hard.
Do some VR. I mean,
VR.
You
may have invested in the wrong space.
What am I doing in the car crash space? Public safety and defense, man.
Oh man! And here we are talking about strip clubs.
I mean, come on, let's be real. When we go to a conference, how many men are there?
Oh, dude, it's sausage fest. It's mostly men. It's sad. It really is. I'll tell you, there are some really big names there, though, that are women. Tons of them. Yep. Good stories, people doing good things. Yep.
Yeah.
But sadly, they're few and far between.
Shout out to Gemma Alcock, good friend of mine.
Gemma's a good one. Yep.
A startup. She's the co-founder and CEO of Skybound Rescuer, and it does a lot of search and rescue as well as DFR operations. It's more like DFR at scale, where you're sending multiple drones from multiple boxes around multiple sites to multiple emergencies all at one time. And she's the command and control, the dispatch, the live streaming, the analytics, and all that. All in one.
She's another one that's brilliant. She spoke at Airworks. She's good people.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant, doing game-changing stuff in the drone space. For sure.
So back to this podcast with Drones After Dark. How often do you want to do this? I mean, we're doing this on our free time, on our own volition.
Let's be honest. I'm doing it for fun, so I am happy to do it. Weekly, whatever. If people watch, they watch, right? Who wouldn't watch? But I'm just saying. But if people watch, they watch. I don't care. I'm good for a weekly podcast or so.
Cool. We'll do a weekly podcast up to about an hour or so. Invite some of our friends on. And
I've got to make some.
Have a good time.
There's that. I'm going to have to go to some more conferences. I'm not making any new friends until, February? When's our next conference?
I think there's one in Texas in December. That DPS conference.
The Texas
depends on how big it is.
With the heavy focus on Blue UAS.
Is it?
Yeah. Their marketing literally says, with an emphasis on Blue UAS.
Oh, man.
I'm not, anti-Blue UAS, except for one company, but,
I do want to see the Teal 4 ship. I want to see their drone swarm in action and see what it does. Does it actually just is it just like a drone light show where all the drones do specific actions, or can it adapt in real time based off of AI or any sort of environmental inputs that it receives?
It would have to adapt. I would think it would have to. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but no. But Teal, they're doing good stuff for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, the whole Blue UAS thing. I mean, we could have a whole show about that. Oh, look at that! Jeff is glitching. I hope it's fixed. Oh, that was 4 minutes ago. My man Adrian is in chat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was shouting him out when you were disconnected.
Oh, I missed it.
We should have a.
He really is probably my favorite person ever. A debate? What do you want to debate?
Blue UAS. The proponents of Blue and the people who can't stand it.
Listen, so one of the Blue UAS companies out there, I have a friend that may or may not work with this one Blue UAS company, and they literally told me that they sold the world that they were a Blue drone, and the world believed him. That sad. It's literally a marketing ploy. It's not about safety and security and data sensitivity and blah, 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 blah. It's a marketing ploy. I mean, it's sad. Not that we shouldn't buy American, because we should. But when you have a tool to do a job that's available to people like law enforcement, an amazing tool, mind you, taking that tool and saying, no, you can't use that tool because of where it's made, even though, honestly, do you think China really cares about us chasing a suspect running down the road? No, they don't. But saying, oh, you can't use that tool to do the job just because it's of where it's made? Yeah, no. It's hurting the industry. It's not helping.
I mean, they always, the phrase that innovation gets, especially in the drone industry, innovation gets hindered by regulation. In this case, regulation is not only hindering innovation, it's destroying innovation altogether.
Absolutely destroying it. I mean, it took public safety this long to get where they're at. It took a long time for police officers to be able to convince people that they can do good with. We're not spying on people. Like, it's not about spying on people. It's not about looking at what you're doing in your backyard. Like, they are doing crazy good, literally saving lives with drones. And there's people playing politics and trying to force the equipment that they're using out of the industry without a replacement. Like, I'm sorry, an M30T, there is not a replacement in anywhere near the price range for an M30T. For a police officer to take an M30T and deploy it, there's nothing in that range. Nothing. Especially the price point. But even without the price point, the companies that are getting these bans put in place and politicking to get lobbyists to politic for them, So here's another big issue. China dumps money into the technology. The government literally throws money at the technology. Now, whether or not they're using that or whatever. But in the United States, the technology companies are dumping money into politicians. It's backwards. It's 100% backwards. Why is there not a U.S. drone that's capable of doing some of the stuff that an M30 does? It's not because the money's not there. The money is there. But I don't know if that money's going, where it should be going. It's going to lobbyists instead of advancing the technology, which is really, really, really sad. One of those things I'm passionate about. We're stripping tools from people that are trying to do good with it. So I could go on for days about that, but
yeah, let's have a debate show. It's perfect. We'll get into politics and everything.
Oh
it's
God,
perfect.
There's two things you lose friends and family over. It's politics and religion.
Oh, you already know. Let's have that's gonna be our Thanksgiving show. It's perfect. Everybody. Who do we want on Pro Blue? Oh man,
this stuff is way too good to make me spit it out, Bobby. Come on now.
Let's get all the founders of all the blue companies on the show.
Let's be honest. There is a lot of politic and a lot of controversial stuff in the drone industry. A lot of it. Until it gets in the forefront, until people actually start talking about it, no one will ever know. Like, let's be honest. A company that may or may not be a blue company dumps millions of dollars into lobbyists and actually gets their hopes and dreams of kicking out their biggest competition. What would that do to the commercial users group? What would that do to most of the drone Facebook groups? Like, if the FCC was to walk in tomorrow and say, "Bye, DJI," what would happen to the drone industry here in the United States? Let's be honest, it would be fucked.
I don't know. Let's get another voice and opinion in here.
we'd be screwed. Let's be honest. They probably share my opinion, unless, of course, they're with one company, in which case they may not.
Who knows? Well, we'll get a proponent, or we'll get a neutral person that's not influenced one way or another, and then
there's no such
who knows?
There's no such thing. There's no neutral person when it comes to that. But Rusty Martin said, I want to see Jeff debate PC. Anyone from Skydio. Why Skydio, Rusty?
If you had to choose.
I want to know why Rusty Martin is actually throwing Skydio's name out there. That's kind of ruthless.
Damn.
Who?
Great company.
Yeah, their tech is cool as shit. It's great for following you on a one wheel. But I want to know why he wants to see me debate someone from Skydio. Why would he pick that specific company?
There's like 20 Blue SUAS companies out there.
No, there's like 5, but sure, 20.
I think there's more.
Blue UAS, so Alta has a drone on the Blue UAS list. You know what's crazy about that, though, is the drone doesn't have a camera. And the one thing that Blue UAS is, oh my god, one of my biggest fans. I'm just kidding. I'm actually a fan of his.
We're talking about Blue SUASs. Oh man, your microphone is awful. We got to buy you a microphone with some Skybucks.
Is it really bad?
We need to spend some Skybucks on a microphone for sure.
Too high.
What's up, man?
I could whisper.
Ooh, it's an asthma show now. Ooh, quiet.
He's got the Jameson.
Is that the?
Oh, it didn't.
Is that the IPA barrel?
Oh no, this is the triple.
Wow.
You never had triple?
Some Jameson.
I don't think I have. No.
You can't buy it in the States. That's why you haven't had triple.
So speaking of that, let's talk about some of that. So we've been talking Blue UAS. We've been talking how there may or may not be a company that's trying to screw the drone industry in the U.S. But aside from that, so where did you pick up that bottle, Brian?
Warsaw. No, London.
London.
Yeah. That was, I actually almost missed a flight because of that bottle. Or because of a pair of bottles.
It's probably worth it.
It was. You know, the part that really made it worth it, though, was I got the bottles. So one thing they don't tell you about Heathrow Airport is when they say there's gates A through, 21 through 29, and then there's gates, B or whatever. A and B gates are over here, right? They don't say, like, it's going to take you 17 minutes to walk there from here. They're just like, hey, just go over here. So, the 17 minutes cut it close, but they hadn't closed the doors yet, and there was this dude hanging out at the gate who was kind of mumbling to himself, and I was like, I'm sorry, it took me so long, or whatever. And we're walking down the thing, I was like, I feel like I've seen you before. And he looks over, he's like, have we met? I was like, no. He's like, Brendan. And it ended up being Brendan Fraser. Like the mummy guy.
No way.
It was very exciting. So here I am clinking with my two Jameson bottles, because you can only get this one in the duty free or whatever. But it was kind of a trip. So I actually ripped off. I had one of my little Ukraine patches, and I fucking ripped off my patch, gave him a Ukraine patch, and said, have a good day. And that's my Jameson triple story.
That's awesome.
Dang. Crazy.
Absolutely awesome. So anyone out there that doesn't know Brian is he's been with Skybrows for a little while, but he's got more balls than anyone else at Skybrows, that's for sure. Came from another company. Shout out to Brink. They're doing cool stuff for sure. Definitely putting stuff on drones that other people aren't thinking about. But he came over to Skybrows from Brink. He's now on the light side, and he's been doing.
You can't even maintain a straight face for this at all.
There we go. I'm looking for a good microphone. This is what I'm doing, because you guys are complaining about my microphone.
But no, Brian's been doing awesome stuff in the drone space. One of the big ones being helping out in Ukraine. There's good, bad, and ugly, and one of the things that the good is what can be done with drones over there. Now, honestly, there's a lot of stuff, and Brian can tell you better than I could. But there are a lot of companies that are like, oh, we're helping Ukraine. We just shipped 30 drones over there. And those drones are literally sitting on a shelf because you can't fly them because of whether it be GPS disruption or radio jamming or whatever it may be. So there's a lot of people trying to take advantage of the situation over in Ukraine, saying, oh, yeah, we're doing good. and just sending stuff over just so they can say they sent it. And then there are other companies that are actually doing a lot of good over there. I'm not going to tell you which Skybrowse falls into because, you know.
I mean, really, it comes down to individuals, right? And I think, I don't want to disparage anybody who's trying to help because I think there's a ton of people trying to help. And the thing with Ukraine is it's a setting that we've never seen before. I mean, drones have been changing the world as we go along. But in term and of course we've seen them change in warfare when it comes to like the global war on terror and actions that are done in some of these wars. But this is a major conflict, and this major conflict is having two powers come at each other in a way that just nobody's seen before, and with technology that nobody's seen before, and the necessity of war and like the defense of one's homeland really brings out a lot in people who've been facing this issue for a long time already. So from the West, like we see this full invasion, and people are rushing to help. And whether that's effective or not, I don't think really comes down to like, oh, they're just trying to make it look good, or they're just trying to nobody's trying to trick anybody, is what I'm saying.
Right.
They're going over there trying to help. They're pushing stuff, trying to help. There's really good people with really good heart behind what they're trying to do. But it's the nature of private business. And I think you and I we come from public safety standpoint, like that public sector where, I'll quit my job and go help out because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, with private sector, like whether or not those people are motivated to do that, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but they have somebody to answer to in terms of their shareholders and their stakeholders and stuff like that. And especially early on in the conflict, nobody knew what was going to help. So yeah, they're throwing things against the wall, seeing what sticks, seeing what helps. I mean, even those of us who have been able to make some sort of impact, it's not that one impact that you're able to make is not for lack of trying 10 other things that fell flat on their faces. And I mean, we all dealt with that, where it's like you plan, you get all your chips in a row, you get all your ducks kind of set up, and then it's like, oh yeah, we don't need that anymore. It's like, but we did all this work though. Yeah, it's just the nature of kind of that setting. And I think that there are people that are going to capitalize as much as they can on things, and there's other people that are going to just do good and make things happen. And I'm happy to be where we're at.
I like to think everybody means well until they don't. But you're one of those people. So you've actually been in Ukraine. You spent a bunch of time in Kiev. We're not talking like 4 years ago, 5 years, like during the war, during the impact, during what's going on. So obviously I'm sure you don't have the full scope of everything drones are being used for. But so thinking about how drones are being used and the companies that are sending software and tools and drone, how much of that is effective? Like if you had to guess.
Well, you're really looking at two very, very different sets of goods, right? You got the stuff that is what do you call it? Did we lose Jeffrey?
I'm still listening. I'm still here.
Oh, so I mean, we lost Jeffrey, but you got. There he is. He's back a little bit. So you got the DoD primes, right? So the DoD primes, these are people who've been providing things for the federal government and the DoD from Afghanistan, Iraq. Like they've been going back. They have these contracts that have been sitting around for a while that they're still fulfilling. So you have like I don't want to throw out names necessarily, but there's some big names that are throwing out some really high speed hardware that super effective in Afghanistan or in places where we're not dealing with a peer-on-peer conflict. And that's what you're seeing in Ukraine really is at least a near-peer conflict where you've got folks with high tech, but you also got folks with high tech that's able to take out that other high tech, right? So it's a challenge. I would right now. What are we like 9 months into this thing? This isn't. You could have had a baby in that time. But it's been a while.
Someone somewhere did.
No, I'm certain. But it's I think at the beginning a lot of stuff was thrown at the wall that didn't stick. Like I don't want to necessarily put a number to it because I'm just not that smart. But you know,
He's lying. For anyone that's
Come
watching,
on,
he is
man.
100% lying.
Come on.
I was hearing a lot of complaints from the folks that I got to know some folks kind of early on. Started to get a lot of feedback and a lot of negative feedback, and on some of the things that we had taken for granted, like, hey, this is great stuff. It wasn't so great in a context. But nowadays it seems like every time you turn your head, there's somebody coming up with something that's doing really good work. Some of the systems that have been developed over there over the last 9 months, they're starting to mature. You're getting a lot of feedback from the field. You're starting to get you're starting to get industry folks who are taking an interest in like, hey, our stuff, which wasn't designed for combat or warfare or defense of one's country, like I hear that our stuff's being used over there. How could we improve it to make it so it's better for you guys? And that's really nice to hear. And that's people who, they're already selling stuff. They're not going to make like more money by improving their stuff, but they want to improve it because they know that it's going towards some good work. I like that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Good job, Autel. I mean, good job, everybody.
Shout out to Autel Robotics.
Yeah.
So, and let's be honest. So here in the U.S., police departments have been using Mavic Minis for a long time for interior search. And we asked for little stuff like, hey, can you put it... That sounded like a wonderful ice cube.
Oh, man.
But no,
so
I mean,
much
we
asthma.
give that feedback, like, can you put an LED on this interior drone? We're using it for this. And they don't want to make an enterprise interior drone. I don't know why. But they don't want to do it. The Avata is the closest they've come to making an interior enterprise drone, and they still won't classify it that it's still, to them, it's a hobbyist drone. For whatever reason, I don't know. But if they were to step forward and actually try to make the tech, now, we all know China is necessarily not on the same page as everyone. But if any company was to try to make that tech and tailor it to that situation, you're looking at billions of dollars of revenue if they can master it. But you mentioned Autel. Like, they are trying to figure out RF interference. How do you combat that? GPS denial. How do you combat that? We know what happens when you lose GPS. It usually returns home. But what if GPS is spoofed and all of a sudden home is not the same place? Or whatever it may be. And there are companies that are trying to figure that out. But the man that figures that out first will make almost as much money as the tiny whoops and strip clubs. And what was the other brilliant idea? Oh, the raves in the middle of the desert.
I don't know, man.
Well,
I think a lot more people like raves than they like war.
That's true. But
there's a lot of raves going on there. There is war.
Oh, one of my favorite things that I saw in Kiev was a thing hanging. It was actually the first time I enjoyed the experience of an air raid siren. When it was happening, I was like, "Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do?" And of course, nobody's doing anything. But I look up at this veranda or whatever, and hanging off this veranda is this big flag that says, "We will rave on Putin's grave." I'm like, sweet, all right. Yeah, the Ukrainians like to party. There was a huge party on Putin's 70th birthday. That was just like it was a huge party. Just poop on Putin. Yeah, it was a good time.
They really need that big ass speaker that goes on under the M300 to help throw those raves.
It's dual-use technology as well. In case there's an active shooter in a school, it could just fly really close to the active shooter, disorient them. And then shoot laser beams. It uses computer vision AI to recognize eyeballs, and it shoots laser beams. 2 of them. Really bright green lasers right at the eyeballs.
Don't weaponize my hobby.
It's been weaponized.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, well. What can you do?
Everything's a weapon if you hold it right.
Speaking of weaponizing drones, is anyone familiar with UAV tech?
Yes.
Another guy I met at a conference.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I met the guy from UAV Tech at a conference, at a public safety conference. Now, let's be honest. When he started pulling drones out, I'm like, put them back in the fucking bag. Like, those are not going to be okay over here, dude. It was literally drones that had like that would fire a 12 gauge cartridge, or that is not okay here. It might be okay there, but it's not okay here. And that whole perception, like, no, you can't do that on a drone. But the fact of the matter is, it's a tool to do a job, and nasty stuff is going on in different places. And they make a tool to do a job. And he's another guy, super smart. Some of their stuff, like the Bug, they make a little interior drone called a Bug. Most of it's 3D printed. It's, using open source software and open source stuff, and it's tiny, but really cool tech. But they will literally put anything on a drone. If a defense contractor says, this is what I need on a drone, they will make it happen.
Right. Well, I mean, if they don't make it happen, somebody else is going to make it happen. This
Absolutely.
is one of the things that I ran into with a lot of places is, you don't want to get involved in weaponized drones. It's like, if you create a drone that has more capacity for flight than what is currently built into it, somebody's going to strap something to it. I guarantee at some point that thing is going to either explode or be in some way unsavory. And that's the hard spot I see a lot of these drone manufacturers getting into, is like, they want to help, but sometimes, I did 15 years at the sheriff's office, and there are times where violence is necessary, and you don't like it, you shouldn't like it, and we should avoid it at all costs. I mean, not at all costs, but like, we should avoid violence. But there are times when violence is necessary, and to say that like our drone will never be weaponized, that's not accurate.
For sure. There are a ton of people that are anti like anything CUAS, anything counter US. They're like, oh, you can't do that. FAA says you can't. Fact of the matter is, there's going to be a time when you wish somebody had that technology. Because there's no telling who is going to be the next person to make something like that.
Well, I was speaking to a client of ours, one of our users today, who was discussing that, because we started to run into in some of these urban areas where criminals who do these organized retail thefts or whatever, where they'll shut down whole downtown sections by closing off intersections and doing their thefts. They're starting to get these RF interference things that aren't necessarily built for counter UAS, but it doesn't take much to interfere with some of these signals. And just like anything, if you try to control it too hard, if you keep the good guys from being able to have the tools they need to do their job, the bad guys are going to have the tools and the good guys won't. And I don't want to go down the road where we start talking about like Hollywood shootout and things like that, but I remember those days when law enforcement, like, the best thing you had was a 12 gauge shotgun, and that's not the case anymore, because that's not appropriate for the world we live in. So as we work through this stuff where we have these drones and we have things that have that potential for violence, there has to be a way to be able to neutralize that violence.
For sure. And talking about interference, RF interference, stuff that was not made to do that, anybody that's been in a flying field with their FPV goggles on and someone turns on a transmitter that's not FCC regulated, instantly. And a lot of that happened when DJI FPV first came out. A bunch of people flying analog and someone turned on a digital, like, it screwed stuff up. And somebody has taken that and run with it. So Rusty said Howard is a great dude. Howard is the guy from the company that I was just talking about. That they are overseas, but they do make stuff for tactical deployments. And let's talk on the legal side, so not the war side. Is there a use case for putting stuff on a drone that shouldn't be on a drone? There was a point where I was like, probably not. And then it was ComUAV, another conference. If you haven't been to conference, gotta go. But ComUAV, we ended up taking a Uber ride with some random guy. Wasn't random, he was actually from the conference. But got talking about putting an explosive on a custom-built drone to fly into avalanches. So, not fly into it, to create the avalanche.
Right, to mitigate the avalanche by setting it off with, right.
To start an avalanche, Absolutely. So he actually worked with a company that's what they did. They shot cannons at mountains with lots of snow to create avalanches. And the precision is there, kind of, but it's not as surgical as you could get sending a drone with an explosive towards the mountain to create an avalanche.
So
and
that
we had
brings
a
up the
long
question.
conversation.
That brings up the question in terms of the regulatory side. If the drone, all it does is drop off a payload that has timed release to create the avalanche, is the drone technically weaponized?
Yes, you can't put an incendiary on a drone. You can't even carry. So on a drone, the FAA will not let you can't drop another LiPo battery from a drone. Greg, if you're out there, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. So for one, it falls under some hazmat stuff. You can't carry certain payloads, certain distances over certain stuff, but you can't put an incendiary on a device or on a drone. And I think this definitely, you put some PETN on an FPV drone, it definitely falls under that category. But yeah, I can't imagine the red tape you would have to go through. But talking to him in an Uber ride, random person, but the amount of money they would save, hell, Brian, what does it cost to build a semi-decent FPV drone that you can get surgical and put it where you want it? What does it cost? About $350. So for $350, you can build a drone. So for about the same in explosives, you can cause you can cause an avalanche where you want it. Right now, though.
Had to go off script for that.
But so we're talking saving millions of dollars. The amount of money it takes them to launch one of those cannons into the mountain to cause the avalanche, and the amount of planning that goes into it. You could hire some FPV guy from the commercial users group and be like, dude, here's $350. Go fly this $350 drone into the side of the mountain and save millions. For sure. So, but if anyone is watching this or watches it 12 years from now, if you decide to fly a drone into a mountainside to prevent avalanches, and you make millions of dollars off of it, throw Tree Fitty to me, Brian, and Bobby here, because you heard it here first.
Okay, I have a better solution right now that I believe
is here we go.
Legal, and it's currently in production as well. So not only is it legal, we could implement it right now.
But is it cool as a flying robot? CGP plays a lot here, Bobby. Cool guy points play a lot. I'm in. Let's see.
CZI, man, their technology is multi-purpose.
CZI makes some crazy cool stuff.
You take one of their loudspeakers, attach it to an M300, fly it right next to where you want the avalanche to start, and start blasting.
Oh, that speaker would cause an avalanche
M300
for sure.
Just blasting at it.
You would only need one. That speaker is freaking phenomenal.
That's all it is. Look, it stops school shooters, it creates raves, and it starts avalanches. So that is the coolest fucking drone in the world. Nothing else out there right now does that.
Let's ask a serious question here, though. What song would it play?
Ooh.
Okay. I'm thinking Danger Zone. Oh, yeah.
Tchaikovsky?
Yeah, that would...
That'd be good.
Yeah.
I was thinking, play that funky music, white boy.
Oh, God.
And then the music plays. Just
Is
blast down the avalanche.
Maybe some Skrillex? Like,
ooh,
you get some Skrillex in there.
I could see it.
Play that funky music, I don't think... Aaron, if you're listening, listen, Aaron or John, whoever it may be from GenPack, if you can get me one of those speakers, we want to be able to test full blast from Skrillex from an M300. I'm going to call John tomorrow. I'm going to get one of those speakers.
We're going to time to go to Utah. We're going to start some avalanches this wintertime.
No, so let me explain to you how good. Okay, so I was mentioning Aaron Lambert and GenPack and John Beal from Lita and so on and so forth. So I'm digressing a little from the Brave stuff, but we had a big operation, missing person. We were planning on taking the entire college, the entire class to this operation. We're all going to fly robots and map the place. We were thinking it might be good to have something to track these drones so we can figure out who's where, so on and so forth. So I called John. I'm like, John, what are the chances of us getting Aeroscope? Aeroscope tracks DJI drones. You can see where they all are. You can see where the pilots are, so on and so forth. It would have been great for this operation. It was great for this operation. John's like, oh, I can get one. He called Aaron. Aaron's like, oh, yeah, I'll overnight it. Aaron overnighted Aeroscope. We had it the next day to go out and fly the search for this guy that was missing. We had dozens of drones up, and we were able to actually manage the airspace. But what I'm getting at is I'm going to have John reach out to Aaron tomorrow to ship that speaker so we can test out this whole flight time with some Skrillex playing. My neighbors are going to fucking hate me, but it is what it is. We're just testing the battery life at this point, Brian. Testing
just Skrillex, just blasting Skrillex. Like, where is this music coming from?
Oh.
Why is it coming from the sky? What's going on?
Once again, I'm digressing.
Oh, my God.
So, I fly a lot for public safety. I fly with the police departments locally. I fly, a lot. I have a neighbor that literally calls the cops every time I fly a drone. Every time. No, I know who this neighbor is. But every single time, officer shows up, he's like, hey, Jeff, how's it going? Because we know each other. Like, I fly with them a lot. So I'm kind of curious. I get a feeling that it's not going to be the, hey, Jeff, how's it going? When I've got Skrillex going. I get the feeling this phone call may be a whole lot different. But still, Aaron, I need one of those speakers to test out.
Shop GenPack. Make it happen.
These videos are not sponsored at all, for the record. But they might be soon.
No. We are not influenced by anything.
Never.
Especially not alcohol for this podcast.
You're in the right place then, Brian, because that's why Bobby hired me. Because everyone's like, oh yeah, everything you're doing is perfect. I still hold him on a pedestal, but I tell him what I think.
I really appreciate that about you. Yep. Good
Absolutely.
Stuff. Where are we at? Okay, we're at the hour 30 mark, so we're going to cut this podcast short because I'm a cheapo and I don't want to spend another $30 a month to do longer podcasts. Hour 30 podcasts only, tops, once a week. And that's all it is.
Oh, it's 10 here. That's not horrible.
It's not that way. Damn.
That's good because you've got a lot of work to do tomorrow, mister. Oh, man.
Man, oh, man. But everyone, thanks for coming in. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Really appreciate everyone checking out Drones After Dark. We're spinning it up again. We're going to do it every single week. Going to make it very consistent. Put it on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, other streaming platforms, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and all that. And yeah, we'll have a good time. And you guys, anything else to say for the last 25 seconds?
Yeah, so today was literally just an intro of some of the stuff we're going to be talking about. We're not here to hold back. We want to talk about stuff that other people are not talking about. So if there's something you want to hear about, shoot one of us a message, and we'll absolutely talk about it. Sorry, Brian.